Hey everybody, my name is Jason Dahl. I'm a teacher at Grayslake Central High School, and I've been using ClassKick Pro for a little over a semester now. Once I realized that we all had the Pro version, which is pretty awesome that our district gave that to everybody, I figured maybe I could help out by sharing what I've learned and showing you how to set up rosters using the portfolio option. This was a little confusing for me at first. I am unaware of anyone else that was using the pro version of ClassKick. There definitely might be some other teachers out there. I was unaware. So I don't have any experience with how the portfolio option is going to work now that possibly more than one teacher is going to be using ClassKick for the same student. But I can definitely show you how I did it and how I got that set up. So, also, I just want to say that I'm not an expert on this. I know what I've experienced, and so I'm happy to help out and lend any advice to anybody who could get some help on this. But please don't think I somehow, am the end all be all expert here. So. Let's start off. The tempting thing to start off with right away is assignments, and you can totally start making assignments. It's pretty easy. You got the green plus sign over here, create from file. So you click on this, that's going to bring up your files, and you can just pick a PDF and start making an assignment from that. We'll get back to that later. Also notice with the Pro version, you can create folders in the initial level. The one downside with folders, as you'll see here, is once you get into a folder, I hit the green option, you can no longer make a folder. But getting into the assignments is actually, I feel, a little premature when you're starting with ClassKick, because where you really want to start is with rosters. All right, this is actually kind of the backbone of everything. Getting the rosters set up before you start making assignments, I have found to be a lot easier. You can see I have rosters set up here for all of my classes, and then a test subjects here for my coworkers in the math office that I was trying things out on. So when you want to start a new roster, you click on the green plus sign, right? New roster. And then let's just name it. We'll just name it Math Office. I'm a math teacher, so we'll just call it Math Office. And then you can assign it a color, and you have a roster. So you can see as I come back here into my rosters, I now have Math Office as one of my rosters here. The key is populating students. Now, when you go to add students, you're going to have two options: the basic, and this is what you had to do with the free version, and the portfolio. Now, you can still do the basic. The basic option is going to allow you to add students using a code, or you can add them manually. But with the basic option, from what my experience was, is it does not add any type of permanent assignment for the students. They have to re-log in with the class code every single time. And if they don't use the same exact username, they have to start from scratch. It's very similar to what you do with like a Kahoot, where they get a code, they log in. Once they're in, they can do it. But if they leave, getting back in, they're going to have to start over. What I have found to be a much more effective way to set up my classes for my students is portfolio option here. And this is only with the Pro version. So you click on portfolio, and essentially what this is going to do is this is going to make a individualized hub or portfolio where that student can access all of their assignments, and it's kind of theirs. It's personal to them. They don't have to worry about using a code to get to it, or worry about any other students being able to mess with their work or their worksheets. It's going to kind of create a private space. The best way I can come up with an analogy is the way that with Schoology, each student has their own Schoology page, and then the teacher's Schoology pages get linked to the students, and the stuff that we add to our Schoology pages shows up on theirs. That's kind of what happens when you set up a portfolio here. Now, what you can see is I already have a whole bunch of students that I've set up portfolios for, because I did this for all of my classes. This list doesn't go away. This list stays here. So if I wanted to add any of my students to this list, I could just click on their name, add selected, and they would now be added to this roster in their portfolio. But what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to create new portfolio students. So this is where you're starting this portfolio for your students through your Pro account. So you're going to click on this. Now you're going to have two options. Oh, this is a new thing too. I didn't have this when I was doing it because we didn't have an organizational license, but it's probably a good idea now that we have one to make sure you set this to Grayslake Central High School. I'm not sure what difference that makes. I really haven't gotten to play with that much, but it seems like it'd be a good thing to do. Now you have two options. You can add manually, which I'll show you how to do here first. And then you can also import from an Excel document. And this is the way better option, especially with using a kind of a life hack with Schoology, which I'll show you here. But adding manually, if you click here, you're going to enter a username or email. Now, I would highly, highly recommend that you use your student's Gmail. Right, that's gonna student school email. That's gonna allow them to bypass needing a password at all and just log in directly with their school email. It keeps it probably consistent from teacher to teacher because you can use every time you set it up for them, you can use that school email and that makes it easy. So you could do it and you could put in each individual student. Now, this isn't a bad thing if you get like when I got a new student to one of my classes and I just wanted to add one student to a roster, I would use this option. But when I was trying to set up my classes and add 20 to 30 students all at once, this is a much better option here. So click on the import CVS, and what you're going to want to look at here is this download sample, not CVS, that's the drugstore, CSV, sorry. Click on this, and what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to fill in this sample Excel document here with your information for your class. So you can see you need 4 lines of information. You need a first name, a last name, an ID, and a password. So I'm just going to delete these sample ones here so we can start it fresh here. Oh, come on, delete. Let's try that again. Delete. There we go. Now, you could do this by hand. I could type in Ben, Alt, ID would be B, Alt, at d127.org, and I'll go password 12345. For any of you Spaceball fans out there, I'll let you draw any conclusions you want to draw about this student based on their password. But the password, again, really doesn't matter because as long as you're using a Google School email, that's going to allow them to get directly into ClassKick without having to worry about the password. But this option here really isn't any better than doing it manually. So we're not going to do that. What we're going to do is we're going to go to Schoology. And if your Schoology page, so you open up a class here, Schoology page, go to your gradebook, click on gradebook, and you're going to get your gradebook here. Now, you can see I don't actually use grades. It doesn't matter whether you put grades in there or not. As long as you have grades in PowerSchool, this will work. If you have no grades in PowerSchool at this point, probably some other problems you got going on, but we should all probably have grades in PowerSchool, so this should be fine here. So we're going to click on the hamburger menu over here, 3 little vertical dots there, and go to export. Right? What this is going to do is this is going to give me this option. Now, we don't want to export a gradebook. We want to export CSV to import into another system. Hit next, and it's going to make this long document. Oops, hold on, it's coming. There it is. And depending on the assignments you've made and stuff, you can see this goes a long way. What I have found is you need to know how many students you have in your class. Now, I have 22 students in this 4th period AAT class. So what I'm going to do, if you notice also, look at columns B, C, and D. First name, last name, email. What were the 3 things we needed? Those 3 things. So I'm just going to grab these 3 columns and highlight down 22 students. Now, for me, maybe this won't happen for you. I don't know, but it starts repeating students because you can see over here in column J, it starts going onto a different assignment. But as long as you highlight the exact number of students you have in your class, you won't get any repeats or duplicates, and you'll hit them all. So what I now have is a first name, a last name, and their school email address for all of the students in my 4th period AAT class. So I'm going to copy that list, and then I'm going to go over here, and I'm just going to go down to 23, and I am going to paste. All right, so now I have every student in my 4th period class, first name, last name, ID, password. It's going to want a password, I think. I am a big fan of Spaceballs, so I just always put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 as the password there. Click. And now what I have is I have an Excel document that I could then import into ClassKick, and it will automatically upload all of my students as a portfolio student, and I can instantly add them to the roster, right? So I would then save this. So you're going to want to save this. I'll just save it on my desktop here. So I would save this as, 4th period AAT, right? And that tells me that's my 4th period AAT class to export. Save that wherever you want, desktop, Google Drive, doesn't matter, right? And you can see now I have this document here to import. All right, so let's go back to ClassKick. Now, I won't be able to take you all the way through this because I've already imported these students, and it's not going to let me import them a second time. So what I would do is choose File, all right, go to desktop. So this AAT period I made, click on that. Right now you can see it's not going to let me do it here. So you can see they're already, but at this point, if you haven't already done it, all of these people would be automatically added to that long list of students that I had. Let me get out of this. So all of them would now be added to this list of portfolio students. And then I could just, and they would also automatically be highlighted. So then you would just add selected, and those students would then be added to your roster. All right. And so again, what that's going to do is that's going to create essentially their own personal Classkick account where all of your assignments are going to show up for them. They don't need a code. They don't need a link. They don't need anything. They just need to log in to Classkick using their Gmail. All right. And then what we can do is now when we come back to assignments, let's now make an assignment here. So I'll just create an assignment from file here. Let me just find a something here, AAT file. We'll go SAT review 2020. Sorry, I like folders. All right, so import all the pages. So there's 18 pages. You're going to want to import all the pages when you make something like this. All right, and it might take a little while. So you can add stuff. You can add stuff directly too. I never use any of that extra stuff. Hit finish, and what it's going to do is it's going to make the assignment and ask me to name the assignment. All right, that's always the first thing you're going to do is give it a name. It's thinking, and sometimes it takes a little bit to think. There we go. All right, so it's now finished its thinking. I give it a name, SAT test, and here's the big thing, assign. So here's where you can assign stuff. So now I got to pick a roster. So the roster I made was my math office roster, so I click here. And what has now happened is that assignment, that SAT test, has now been thrown out to everybody on this roster. They have their own personal copy that they can work on. I can view their work. So you can see, go to view work. This is, the 2 students that I added this for here. So they don't need a code to log in because they have a portfolio. It's already right there. I can see their work individually. You can do a lot of stuff there. On the assign level, see helpers. This allows you to anonymously get help from other students. So when someone asks a question, the asker will be anonymous. The people who respond, the people who are answering the question, the person who asked does get to see who they were. Now, hiding, so you can make something and hide it so that they don't see it until you want them to. And you can also lock something. So they'll be able to see it, they just won't be able to edit it. So this is important if you're using it for any type of grading purposes and you give them a deadline of like 3 o'clock, then they need to be done and they can just lock that up there. So that is what I got for the time being. Hopefully that was helpful. If you got anything else, I'll be happy to help as much as I can. Like I said, I'm no genius or expert with this. I've just been using it for a little while, so I've learned a few things through trial and error. Hope you're having a healthy, safe time away from school, and hopefully we'll all see each other again soon.